If you are or were in the process of applying for the SBA Targeted EIDL Advance and you think the ship has sailed, you're actually in luck because the SBA is still approving applications. I'm actually proof of that. I just got approved for my own Targeted Advance at the beginning of November, and I'm going to talk you through exactly how I did that, even though I was previously denied for the advance. I received a denial for the grant earlier this year, but I submitted for reevaluation, and after a few months of back and forth, I was finally approved. So in this video specifically, we'll talk about why you may be denied by the SBA for your Targeted Advance application and how I successfully appealed that decision. So if you've watched any of my SBA videos before, you probably know that I've been documenting the process of applying for the Targeted EIDL Advance and specifically, pulling on my own experiences while applying for it. I have a whole series dedicated to it, so if you're curious about the beginning of the process, how you start applying, how you get invited, I actually have a link to the SBA playlist in the description below. I provided details on how to apply for the grant, especially since at the beginning of the program, there weren't a lot of details or instructions on how to get into the program or how you would qualify, but more and more details came out through the SBA website, and we kind of followed that process and kept each other updated. But there was a point after you submitted your application and the requested tax forms where it just became a waiting game to see whether you got approved or denied for the advance. This approval or denial came in the form of an email from the SBA, and it had an attached letter saying whether you got approved or denied. And if you got denied, it actually listed specific reasons as to why they denied you from getting the advance. In my case, I realized I got denied for 2 reasons, and I know this because they were listed out on the letter. So let's talk through some of the most common reasons why your application may have been denied. The first reason was eligibility, and eligibility covers multiple reasons why you may have been denied. So the 3 big ones to qualify for the program were around the date that your business was established, whether or not your business was located in a low-income community, and they made this easy by providing a map on the SBA website where you can actually look to see whether it was considered a low-income community by the SBA's definition. And the third one was whether or not you experienced that 30% or more reduction in revenue. The second big one was around verification. If they weren't able to verify your tax information, the SBA would deny your application as well. One of my update videos specifically was around this. It was about the SBA reaching out while your application was in process for you to submit your tax forms that were needed for them to verify the information that you were submitting in your application. So if you didn't link your tax forms, or the information didn't match, or if they were unable to verify essentially your bank information and make sure it was really you who was submitting this application, they would deny your request for the advance as well. Another main reason that I saw floating around that you may be rejected was that you're essentially banned from using this program and that you're on the SBA's do not pay list. Now, I'm not really sure what you would have to do this. I'm assuming tax fraud or something like that, but there are people who are getting banned because they are on a government do not pay list for these programs already. So I don't know, you did something obviously to make them mad, and now they are not gonna pay you even if you qualify. So going back to getting a denial and how you may be able to appeal the decision that the SBA provided you. Like I said earlier, I saw 2 reasons why I was denied for the advance. Both of them were actually under eligibility. And when I reviewed this information, I realized there were 2 things going on. One of them was a mistake on my part. I was rushing through the document, which is ironic because I mentioned so many times in my videos about double checking the information, because at the time the SBA said that they wouldn't be reviewing applications or basically re-evaluating just due to the volume of applications. So I tried to make sure everyone knew that be careful with your information, and then of course I submitted the wrong information. And the second I figured was a mistake on the SBA's part. They were saying my business wasn't located in a low-income community, but I had to actually double check this not only on the website they provided, but a third-party source as well. And both times my business showed up in a low-income community, so I wanted this to be reevaluated. Again, a main reason that they really wanted you to try to get the information right on the first time was just the volume of applications and being understaffed on the SBA side. So they didn't really want to, have to deal with a lot of reevaluations, but they actually did provide information on the SBA website later on, as well as in later emails to people who were applying, of how you can submit a reevaluation request. And we'll talk about that right now. So originally in the rejection letter, if you applied for the EIDL Advance, when it was originally part of the EIDL loan application way back in summer of 2020, when the program first launched, they provided an email to reach out if you had any further questions, and I'm assuming if you felt like the information was wrong. And that email was pdcrecons@sba.gov. So at that time, if you had any questions or you felt like you were denied for a non-legit reason, or you had made a mistake and wanted to be reevaluated, that was really the only email that they provided for you to follow up about the program. And I'll be honest, I had reached out to that email initially because, like I said, one of the reasons that I got denied was a mistake on my information, so I wanted to correct it, but I actually never heard back from that email. However, once they launched the Targeted Advance application, they provided more information, and they actually provided an email that they said specifically to reach out to if you were looking for a reevaluation request. And they also put this email on their FAQ page on their website. That updated email was Targeted Advance Reevaluation@sba.gov, which I have right here also for easy viewing. So this is the email that I reached out to when I wanted the information on my application corrected. But like I said, it's just easier if you do it right the first time, so you don't have to go through this process. The reevaluation process took a long time to hear back. The initial application took a very long time for me to hear back as well, especially at the beginning of the program when there was, hundreds of thousands of people applying. I got discouraged, like I said, because I had submitted to an original email, never heard back. So then when I went through the Targeted Advance program and I was automatically denied for issues that I thought I had resolved, it was frustrating. So I decided to take one last shot. At this point, it had been a year since I had initially applied to the program, and I was kind of over it. I just assumed I wasn't getting the money at that point, but I decided to take a shot. So I submitted my new information to the updated email and just waited to hear back. It took about 3 weeks for me to hear back, but once I did, the coordinator then was working with me and she was super responsive. I would hear back from her within 24 to 48 hours every time she, asked me for a new piece of information, and I would provide it to her. She asked me for like a couple rounds of paperwork and for me to explain some discrepancies. So, I provided like updated leases to show when my rental property was established. I also sent her updated tax information and an updated Excel sheet where I had, my income for 2019 and 2020. Once I had submitted everything, this was in October of this year, within 4 days, I had actually received this email from the SBA saying that I was approved for the remaining $9,000 grant. And I was ecstatic because, like I said, I had basically resigned myself to just assuming I wasn't getting that money. So to see that email just honestly came as such a shock. I was like 90% sure that would never come, and I had honestly forgot that I had even submitted that information. And then after that, it was smooth sailing. So the day after I got the approval email, I had the money automatically deposited in my account. And like I said, the process was long. I had originally submitted for that EIDL loan in advance. The initial application when it opened back in like summer of 2020, I didn't get my official rejection letter until January of 2021. Went through an initial process of waiting to be invited to the Targeted Advance application a couple months later. Obviously that information was submitted, and since they used the old information, I was automatically denied. So going through that, it had already been almost a year at that point. But I decided to try to get the information reevaluated again, and within that process, I was able to get approved for the funds about a year and a half after my initial application. And now, because I was funded for the Targeted Advance application, I was automatically invited to apply for the supplemental Targeted Advance, which is an additional $5,000 grant for businesses that were hit the hardest. So there were even smaller businesses. I believe they had to have 10 or fewer employees, and they have to demonstrate a reduction of income of 50% or more. So obviously the threshold is higher because the targeted advance was 30% or more. Don't know if I'm going to get approved for that, but it's great to, be this far in the process, and I'm just thankful for the $10,000 that I've already received. So yeah, that's how I was able to successfully appeal the rejection letter that I got from the SBA for this program. Like I said, I honestly got to a point where I never thought I'd see that money, so receiving it was such a blessing, and I'm very excited to use it for my business. I have links to some of the resources that I was referencing in the description below for you to check out as well. And with that, I will let you guys go. And as always, let me know if you have any questions on how I manage this process or any questions about the process in general. And stay tuned for future updates. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, so I really do appreciate you guys. Continue to tune in and support me whenever you can. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.